Hi, and thanks for joining me again in the Adobe Illustrator in Under 10 tutorial series where we discuss techniques in Adobe Illustrator in under 10 minutes. In this particular session, we are going to discuss all of our type tools. Now, the type options are very vast in Adobe Illustrator, so we're going to cover as much as we can, but take the time and make sure that you go over these things several times and get familiar with it. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Window, and we're going to go down to Type. And we're going to open our type options. We have character, character styles, glyphs, open type, paragraph, paragraph styles, and tabs. Right now, what we're going to focus on is character. We're going to focus on glyphs and paragraph. All right. Now, I already have my windows set up. So, as you can see, I have type or character, paragraph, and glyphs. Okay. Once I click that, I have them all nicely lined up in a tab. And if I wanted to, I can click in here and select the typeface that I want to utilize. So I can actually click in here and I can start typing something if I know the name of it. Let's say I wanted to use Trajan. It'll start to autofill and sort according. I can go to Avant-Garde or any other Ravi, any other typeface that I want to utilize. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write on the board. I'm going to hit the T button on the keyboard, click on the board, and I'm going to type sample. I'm going to move that to the center. And then I'm going to actually show you that if you were to click on here while our type is selected, I can change it to anything that I want. Let's say I change it to back to Rockwell. Or I can change it to Rage Italic. Alright, and we'll leave it there. And underneath this, if you have a font family that has different weight options, they will be listed here. So let's go to this for Avant-Garde. And we have a list of extra light oblique. Oblique means a slant. It's another word for italics. And then we have different weights getting heavier down the line. Same thing goes for Helvetica, especially Helvetica. Helvetica has so many weight options, it's absolutely ridiculous. Some people loathe Helvetica and some people love it. So get used to it, it's here to stay. So then underneath we have our type options. We have our font size, which we can increase and decrease. We have our leading. Leading or leading is actually what you can change to manipulate the distance between lines. So let's say I had this say sample, and then the next line I wanted it to say alternate. And I would bring these together. Right now it's at 144.37 points, but I can change that to 36 and you'll notice that it goes up. So you want to set it to something that's automatically going to be set right. If we click auto, that's why it's in parentheses, it's automatically going to set it to 144.37, and that's in accordance to whatever the font size is. Now I can change the kerning. Kerning is spacing between individual letters to bring them closer together, and I'll show you that. Let's say I click here and I change this to -75. You'll notice it drags it closer. If I wanted to, I can change the actual tracking, and tracking does it for every letter at the same time, not individual spaces between letters. So let's do that, and you'll notice the entire wording squeezes together. And we'll go back out to 0. Now we can change the vertical size of the letters, or we can change the horizontal size. And then we could change the baseline shift. Now, our letters all have a baseline, but if we wanted to shift above or below that, we can change this by increasing or decreasing, and it will do that accordingly. Now, let's say we go to 0 here, get it back to normal. We can select this and actually shift this irrespective of the top line, and then change its baseline so it moves up. You have to be careful though when you're changing baseline, because you got to make sure that it doesn't apply to everything else you're doing from there. We can change the rotation, and as we do this, you'll notice that the characters are going to start to rotate. And Underneath, we have our typical options. We have all caps, small caps, superscript, subscript, underline, and strike through. Those are self-explanatory. We're already familiar with those. Um, if we were to select our type just as is or our wording, we can go down here and we can change the aliasing from sharp, crisp to strong. And you'll notice how it changes around the edges of the actual image itself or the type itself. Now, if we were to click the Touch Type tool, we can then tap a character and manipulate that with respect to just that single character and no other character that's listed. Now we're going to move on to our actual paragraph. So if I had the time, which I do really quick, I'm going to type in, actually I'm going to create some area type. And I'm going to just, don't mind me, type in a bunch of nonsense. Now we have it set up where we have hyphenation. If you don't want hyphenation, you can click this box and we'll get rid of hyphenation. It's really beneficial to get rid of it if you're going to use justify. So right now we have it set with a ragged right. So it's a line left, rag right. This is a line center, and it may be difficult to see. I'm going to drag this all the way down so you can see the bottom. And you'll see how it's aligning. Center, right. Now, if we were to justify, you'll notice that now it's evenly spaced on that side, evenly spaced in the center, evenly spaced on the right. But if we were to click justify all lines, now it spreads out that last line. And you can see the difference between that line and others. So use that option sparingly. Then this, we'll click this, and we'll go back here. This allows us to change the actual indents. So our left indent we can increase, and you'll notice we get a spacing over here. We can increase our right indent as well, and we get spacing on the right hand side. And I'll increase this so we can just see. And then we could also change the top line to have an indent that's more than the actual left and right indents. So you'll notice that up here. So let's change that to maybe like 29, just so you can see it. So we have our indent up here. And then right here, we have our space before the paragraph, and we could actually change this if we have, let's say, another paragraph that we create right here. And you'll notice the differences between them, and the same thing, space after the actual paragraph itself. So let's increase this. Let's do, and you'll notice how it shifts accordingly. And of course, again, we have our hyphenate. Now we can go in, and let's say we wanted to change a letter and we wanted to go to the glyphs. We can actually highlight something, go down to one of the selected glyphs, double click it, and it will replace that in here. So glyphs are basically alternates, and they're what you would use if you're looking for non-standard keyboard letters, things that the producer of the font have added on that you cannot regularly find by hitting something on the keyboard. So you go into your glyphs and you would be able to look up each glyph that you wanted. Now you can show different parts of it. So we have all alternates, case sensitive, discretionary, denominators, and like I said, there are a lot of options. So I'm not going to go through all of them. But if you were to look through this and you were to toggle them off and on, you'll see which ones appear and which ones don't to help you find things easier. It's just like a filter. So that's all that it is. Get familiar with those in terms of the options that it brings to the table when you're selecting your glyphs. So that's pretty much it. And that's the character, paragraph, and glyphs tools under your type options. So you want to make sure that you get familiar with these. Utilize them at your discretion, of course, but once you master type, it makes it much easier for you to manipulate things in your design. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. You can find me online, www.theonewillfocus.com. You can also find me on all social media at TheOneWillFocus, specifically on Instagram, and that's all spelled out, TheOneWillFocus. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next tutorial. Take care.